from the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
It's not only an eyesore, but also a safety hazard, and one we've been keeping tabs on for the neighbors who live in the area. Good evening to you at 11 o'clock. WRTV has gotten answers for the concerned neighbors, but 3 weeks after our last visit, they're still waiting on action.
Tonight, WRTV's Cameron Riddle is working for you back on Harlan Street, looking into why the home is still standing.
Tonight on Harlan Street, the abandoned, halfway burned down house is still standing.
I look out my window, I see that it's still here. I come to the bus stop and stand with my daughter right there and see that it's still there. May or may not be people there.
It was 2 weeks and 6 days ago when WRTV was last here with Katrina Cunningham, who, along with her neighbor, Robin Wood Gephardt, has been pushing to get the house torn down for years.
Yeah, we were actually told by someone that they've already paid for it to be demoed. It's just the delay supposedly now is the pandemic. However, we were told that it would be torn down before the end of September.
On August 25th, the city told WRTV demolition on the house would begin in 2 to 3 weeks. 2 weeks has passed, and tomorrow marks 3 weeks. But both neighbors say they've heard that song before.
But remember, it was the first quarter of the year.
No, it was the end of 2019, no later than the first quarter of the following year.
Those are just some of the times in the past year when WRTV has taken the concerns of these neighbors to city leaders. Tonight, the city tells WRTV a contracted demolition crew is expected to start demolishing the house next Monday. Both neighbors understand that there is a process to knocking down a building. What they don't understand is why it takes this long to knock down a house that has unwelcome guests and at one point even needles in the front yard.
It's been a year fight with the news involved, but before you guys, it was about a year and a half before that. So altogether, we've been fighting this for 2.5 years. Why does it take 2.5 years for our kids in our neighborhood to feel safe?
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
Again, the city says demolition should begin in 1 week, pending any unexpected delays. We will keep checking and asking questions if the job does not get done.
The death of an 11-year-old boy on the northeast side of Indianapolis is sparking new conversations about safety. Police say Isai Raimundo and his 15-year-old brother were crossing East Post Road near 42nd Street at around 8:30 Saturday evening when a car hit them. The older boy is injured but is expected to survive. The driver stayed at the scene. Today we learned there are no sidewalks and working streetlights in the area.
At this point, it does appear, obviously, this is just a terrible tragedy. Motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians all need to watch out for each other and exercise due caution when crossing the roads or driving while driving as well. It's just incumbent on everybody to have safety in mind and be on the lookout for each other.
We want to clarify that there are lights and street signs and sidewalks in the area. Sidewalks and working street lights are in the area there. We want to clarify that. Pedestrian safety is an ongoing issue in many places, though. Back in May, 6 people were hit and killed while walking in the Indianapolis area in less than a week. At the time, Congressman Andre Carson, a member of the House's Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, said he was working to provide federal money to Indianapolis for sidewalks, walkways, and safer intersections.
Indiana Task Force 1 is in Louisiana at this hour, preparing to help with Hurricane Sally relief. The team left for Baton Rouge last night, and dozens of members will assist with search and rescue operations and anything else that the community needs. WRTV meteorologist Kyle Mounts joins us now. Kyle, Hurricane Sally is now at a Category 2. What are you tracking, and will it affect us here in Indiana?
Yeah, Amanda, it looks like it's going to be staying far off to our south and east, but you can see that it is churning here northern Gulf of Mexico and moving very slowly with those winds of 100 miles per hour. So it does make it a Category 2 storm, but it's also going to be bringing a lot of heavy rainfall because even as we look at this forecast track, by Thursday, it is still there in portions of Georgia. So it's going to be a very slow mover. But again, I don't think we're going to see any direct direct impacts here in central Indiana. Our weather remains very quiet with those clear skies. We've got temperatures right now in the 60s and a fairly light wind as kids head off to the bus stop in the morning. Clear skies. Temperatures a little cool there in the middle 50s. We do have a warm up on the way. More on that in a few minutes. Mark.
New at 11, plans to expand a downtown Indianapolis attraction are now moving forward. The City County Council passed a proposal to renovate the Indiana Convention Center. The project includes a 50,000 square foot ballroom, additional meeting space, and common facilities. Mayor Joe Hogsett released a statement saying the expansion marks a major milestone for the future of downtown that he says will create thousands of construction and hospitality jobs. Also at tonight's council meeting, 2 councilors introduced a proposal to create civilian oversight of IMPD's general orders process. The ordinance would add 4 civilians to the committee, which is currently made up of 3 members chosen by the police chief and police union. 2 of the proposed civilian additions would be selected by the mayor, and 2 would be selected by the City County Council president. The committee oversees rules and policies related to the use of force, arrests, investigations, and other police actions. Councilors Keith Potts and Krista Carlino talked about the proposal before tonight's vote.
The purpose is to make sure that there are voices of the public at the table, and that those voices are not just strictly those of law enforcement, but also, your run-of-the-mill everyday person, and also those who are highly interested in the welfare of the citizens, from whether it be psychological perspectives or physical safety, mental health, addiction, and so on.
Taking every step that we can to make sure that we're not going to make the jobs of our police officers harder. If anything, of course, we want to make them easier. So we worked with our law enforcement partners as well, just to make sure that we weren't going to be adding any additional layers of bureaucracy or red tape, so that they can continue to keep our community safe while our community has more of a voice in the policies.
15 additional council members are co-sponsoring the proposal. Moving forward, the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee plans to hold a meeting to give the proposal a full hearing.
87 guns are off the streets of Indianapolis thanks to a federal initiative that's been working to address violent crime in the city. Operation Legend, a partnership between federal agencies and local and state law enforcement, has been working in Indianapolis since August 15th. Officials say in the past 29 days, the operation has led to the seizure of more than $1 million in drug money, more than 500 grams of heroin, and the arrest of 31 violent fugitives. The U.S. Attorney for Southern Indiana says the initiative does not end with law enforcement.
When people are shooting at each other, it's tough to implement, certain programs to help with employment or mental illness or housing or education. If you get people to stop shooting at each other, then those things that address the root causes of the crime can begin to take root.
U.S. Attorney Josh Minkler says his main priority is curbing shootings and homicides. There are 16 days left in the operation.
And now to the latest on the toll COVID-19 is taking on Hoosier lives. According to the State Department of Health, 3,215 deaths in Indiana are blamed on the virus. 755 new positive cases were reported yesterday. The highest percentage of positive cases, when broken down by age group, is among 20 to 29-year-olds. 20.5% there. The most deaths are among people 80 and older at 51%. COVID is, of course, a major issue on the campaign trail. ABC's Alex Prechet is in Washington tonight with the latest.
Today, new audio released of that interview between President Trump and legendary journalist Bob Woodward, conducted for his book, Rage. In the latest audio excerpts recorded in August and obtained by CNN, Woodward telling the president the election is going to be a contest between him and Joe Biden, their responses to the virus and its impact on the economy.
All those tens of millions of people who don't have jobs, who don't have that income. Listen, I mean, you and I.
Nothing more could have been done. Nothing more could have been done.
Well,
I acted early.
Critics pointing to the president's crowded rallies tonight in Phoenix.
Let's have a good time.
And this one yesterday in Nevada, defying COVID-19 safety restrictions from the governor. Mostly maskless supporters packed together indoors. Nevada's Democratic governor calling it reckless and selfish, but Trump telling attendees he has their backs.
If the governor comes after you, which he shouldn't be doing, I'll be with you all the way.
And earlier today, the president in Sacramento for a briefing on the wildfires there. In a speech in Delaware, Joe Biden blasting the president for his muted response to the fires and tying it to his handling of the pandemic.
He fails the most basic duty to a nation. He fails to protect us from the pandemic, from an economic freefall, from racial unrest, from the ravages of climate change. It's clear that we're not safe in Donald Trump's America.
And now a new ABC News Ipsos poll shows 68% of Americans say when it comes to the pandemic, they trust what the president says, either not so much or not at all. And in anticipation of a contested election this fall, the Biden campaign is expanding its legal operation, a team that now includes former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
If you are looking for winter work tomorrow, you can apply for a job with the Indiana Department of Transportation. The department is hosting statewide hiring events from 10 to 3. Winter seasonal jobs go from November through March. Candidates must have a valid driver's license and commercial driver's license. For exact locations and to register, go to hiringhoosiers.com. And WRTV is teaming up with Indiana Black Expo to host a virtual Hiring Hoosiers Employment Opportunity Fair. It starts at noon next Tuesday, September 22nd. Many companies will take part, including FedEx, First Merchants Bank, Indianapolis Airport Authority, Lowe's, and many more. For more info, go to indianablackexpo.com.
The hospitality industry has taken a hit throughout the pandemic, but a new hotel in Hamilton County has already added extra staff to keep up with demand. Hotel Carmichael in downtown Carmel has hired around a dozen additional employees after only being open for a couple of weeks. The hotel has hosted numerous weddings, including 5 on opening weekend. Zach Tharp, the director of sales, says that business, combined with people looking for staycation options, has led to high occupancy numbers.
We actually had 5 weddings booked the first weekend we were open, and it's kind of continued. That social group scene is there. The staycations are great as well. Corporate business is still, large groups are not happening, but we do have small groups, 10 to 20, that are coming in the hotel.
Tharp says the hotel follows state COVID guidelines. Hamilton County is not an area with more restrictive guidelines on public safe spaces and group gatherings.
Coming up, have you seen these signs around central Indiana? What the Better Business Bureau is saying about the advertisements.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Working for you, a warning about a potential scam happening in our area related to these signs. They've been spotted around Indianapolis advertising something called a forced auction. That's when property is involuntarily sold because of a court order or tax lien. But these signs claim that you can buy things like Rolexes and Picasso paintings. The number and address are not local. And after seeing these signs, WRTV reached out to the Better Business Bureau.
Just be very careful on any information you give. I wouldn't be paying anybody any money up front before I really understood what was going on here.
One helpful resource from the Better Business Bureau is a scam tracker website. It shows you exactly where, when, and what kind of scams have been reported.
A local activist and artist is using his paintbrush and his presence to share a vision of equality. It's an issue Billy Hoodoo has been fighting for since his college days. He paints murals for free. He hopes that people who drive past paintings like this one here realize the Black Lives Matter movement will not disappear without progress.
Black Lives Matter, I see that as an opportunity to let people know, make people more aware of what's going on, and get ideas about what they could do.
If you are looking to have a free mural painted for your business, go to WRTV.com for information.
The Salvation Army is on a mission to rescue Christmas. Today, the agency announced it's starting its holiday fundraising efforts earlier than ever. The Salvation Army says with retailers closing, fewer people in stores, and even fewer carrying change, the pandemic is putting the iconic Red Kettle campaign at risk, and more people will likely need help this year.
We've done some research and estimate that it could be up to 155% more people applying for assistance this Christmas than in years past. So the need is increased. The opportunities for fundraising are probably going to decrease. We're anticipating that it's not going to be the same. So the main idea here is to let the public know you can count on the Salvation Army. We're going to be there, but we need your extra help.
You can donate in many ways from the comfort of your own home, and that includes through your Amazon Alexa. Or you can text Hoosier to 24365. That's 24365. For more ways to give or volunteer, go to our website at WRTV.com and click on this story.
Kyle, it was a very, you could say, cool night here in central Indiana. It felt quite nice outside.
Yeah, we're getting into the month of September here, and it's starting to feel a little more fall-like here and there. We've still got some hints of summer weather left to go, though. But tonight, those temperatures are starting to drop after topping off around 80 this afternoon, already in the 50s around Tipton, into Muncie, Richmond, Greenfield at 59. It's 67, though, in the city and Bloomington. Overnight tonight, we'll all fall back into the 50s, maybe a couple of spots that get into the upper 40s around Peru and Richmond, so you might want that jacket for just a little bit early tomorrow morning, but we will warm pretty quickly. 55, your overnight temperature in Bloomington. As we break down your Tuesday forecast here, we are going to see a lot of sunshine, so you're going to need those sunglasses once again. Temperatures will get into the 60s by 10 o'clock in the morning, and your lunch hour looking beautiful here. Maybe take that lunch out on the patio. We got a temperature around 70 degrees with sunshine, and we'll get into the upper 70s to right around 80 for that afternoon high. Of course, that average high is starting to slide back a little bit as well. We're in the upper 70s with that. We'll be close to it in Logansport, 76, 75 for you tomorrow afternoon in Marion, Indiana. And as we work our way closer to I-70, we'll see a few 80s on the thermometer there around Rockville into Crawfordsville, 78 in Indy, and temperatures right around the upper 70s to 80 degrees from Spencer into Columbus tomorrow afternoon. But yes, it's been a very dry stretch of weather. In fact, it's been almost a month since we have seen any real measurable rainfall for the month here. Not even a tenth of an inch in the rain gauge, and that's putting us about an inch and a half below average. A trend that looks like it's going to continue here as we look almost through the end of the month of September. We are calling for below average rainfall across central Indiana. The small chance for rain we have coming our way is Wednesday into Thursday. And you can see here, this is Wednesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of the remnants of Sally will be staying well off to our southeast. We'll also have a cold front moving through that may spark a couple of showers here, but I don't think it's going to do much to help out those parched lawns. Your 7-day planning forecast, 20% chance of rain on Thursday, that high 78 there, and then it gets unseasonably cool as we go into the upcoming weekend. May need that sweater a little longer. 40s to start off Saturday and Sunday, and mark highs in the lower 70s.
Wow, the 40s are back. All right, thanks, Kyle, for that. Starting a new job or moving across the country could be difficult pre-COVID. Like most things, the pandemic is creating even more challenges in those situations. Scripps reporter Chris Conti shares one family's struggle tonight.
The one thing Elizabeth Wilk wanted this past spring was a chance to say goodbye.
It just felt so sudden that it was almost like I was too rushed for a lot of sadness.
This 13-year-old was a 7th grader in Baltimore when the pandemic hit. Classes suddenly stopped. And then in May, Elizabeth's mom got a new job. Suddenly, this family of 4 was packing up a U-Haul and headed to Maine.
I haven't been able to find anyone that's like my own friend.
Both Elizabeth and her brother Charlie have learned that moving to a new state during a pandemic is pretty lonely.
I normally meet all of my friends through school, and it's summer, and I just moved here, so I didn't have any friends.
In the short term, I think they're fine. Long term, like how is this going to affect them?
Having seen this kind of place in her dreams, Shannon Wilk always imagined that moving to coastal Maine would be like a never-ending vacation. But it's been hard to put down roots.
We're not really part of this community yet. It's, I get up every morning and I come down to my basement.
With millions of Americans out of work, Shannon knew that when she landed a new job at a company in Maine, she had to take it.
I'm lucky that I was offered a job and that the job offer stayed.
Theirs is just one story in the American struggle to cope with COVID.
Play with my friend Nico a lot.
Major life plans panning out in different ways than we imagined.
There comes a point where you have to make the decision, are we going to go or not?
And with so many Americans working from basically anywhere right now, it's giving companies new flexibility in who they're hiring.
It definitely broadens the opportunity to look for talented candidates that aren't local.
Shannon's boss, Caitlin DeMilla.
We don't need somebody that lives down the street that can come into the physical office.
Making the decision and kind of just going ahead it ended up probably being a good thing.
I've never been recorded making a bagel.
As for Elizabeth and Charlie, they are both looking forward to school starting soon, even if in-person learning is only 2 days a week.
I just want to see people, like new people. I haven't seen any new people in like 6 months, so I'm excited.
Like so many others, they're just learning to be flexible during COVID. In Cape Elizabeth, Maine, I'm Chris Conti.
The Colts home opener is Sunday against Minnesota, and the team is looking to correct the mistakes and miscues that played a role in yesterday's loss. But as WRTV's Brad Brown reports, a loss to injury is looming large.
There's an old adage in the NFL about the 24-hour rule. You chew on a game for one day and then move on. The problem for the Colts is that 24 hours after a disappointing loss in Jacksonville, they're dealing with a more long-term loss. Running back Marlon Mack expected to be out for the season with an Achilles tendon injury. Mack went down in the second quarter on Sunday and did not return.
Marlon is, beloved in our locker room. He is just has such immense amount of respect and love for this guy. He's a true Colt, and he was just looking so good in training camp and even in his few snaps yesterday.
That will leave the Colts with a huge adjustment to make to an offense that seemed to be gelling well around its new quarterback.
It's really not about me at all. I would hope that over the last 16, 17 years that you've earned some trust and respect from afar as far as how you're going to compete, how you're going to fight till the end. I don't think that will be doubted. And then collectively as a group, we just put our head down and go.
With no preseason games to see and not really much to see out of training camp, there really weren't that many surprises out of the Colts' first game Sunday at Jacksonville. Phillip Rivers played like the 38-year-old veteran quarterback we thought he was, 363 passing yards, but also a couple of untimely interceptions that cost the Colts ultimately 10 points on the afternoon. The defense made the plays when they needed to as well, but once again, the Colts secondary proved to be a bit of a liability as Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars lit him up for 3 touchdowns. But in the end, it comes down to just the little things. A penalty here or there, bad field possession here or there. Nyheim Hines not going out of bounds at the end of the first half. Colts settled for a field goal instead of a touchdown. You can pick and poke your way all the way around it. Ultimately, it's a 27-20 loss, but that's not anything new either. The Colts start 0-1 for the 7th straight season and the 10th time in their last 11.
I'm frustrated because you know what type of team we are. We know what type of team we have. We know what type of players we have in this locker room. But like I said, it doesn't matter what you have on paper. You got to find a way to get the job done.
And you get in the crunch in the fourth quarter, no matter what has happened the previous 3 quarters, you got to be able to rise up and win games in the fourth quarter.
It's home sweet home for the Colts the next 2 games. The Vikings here this Sunday for the home opener. The Jets will be here on September 27th. The Colts don't actually face another division opponent until Week 10. That comes up on November 12th when they face the Titans. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Getting a carbon copy tomorrow of the forecast. More sunshine, 78, briefly into the 80s on Wednesday before we start to cool it down. Heading into next weekend, we'll have those highs right around 70 by Friday.
Thanks for making WRTV your choice for news. Good night.